Hey, Jocelyn with Walter's World. And while we're not traveling, I'm often making food from our travels, or at least inspired by our travels. So today, what I'm going to make for you is brigadeiro. Brigadeiro is described as little fudge balls. Some people call them bonbons, other people call them truffles. I just think it's delectable goodness. And it's a really simple dish. Anybody can make it. It takes like 4 ingredients, 3 if you wanna fudge it just a little bit. All you do, you use sweetened condensed milk, 1 can, 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk, 3 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder, a tablespoon or 2 of butter. And if you're making it the traditional way, at the end, we're gonna roll them all up in balls and roll the balls in some chocolate sprinkles. I don't always do that because I find that rolling them into little balls is really messy and I'm not very good at it. So I cheat. I often put these into little cups or tasting spoons or something like that, and it makes it just a little bit easier for me on my end, especially if I'm preparing this for like, Christmas party or something like that where I'm making tons of them. I just find it's a lot less time consuming to not roll them. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So like I said, this is a really simple dish to make, and you can do it really quickly and easily. And you just start by putting, I put 2 pats of butter in, about a tablespoon or so, and turn that on like medium heat. Actually, I kind of turn the butter up a little bit higher than that just to get it melted pretty quickly. So we're just gonna melt this butter really quickly in the pan. This gets a little sticky because it's sweetened condensed milk in there. So if you can kind of get some of that up on the edges, that is helpful. All right, so, okay, now that it's kind of melted, I've turned my heat down to just definitely medium. And I'm gonna take 1 can, 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk, pour that in my pan. I love sweetened condensed milk. It's probably why I like Brazilian desserts so much, because I feel like half the things I eat there are made with sweetened condensed milk. So there you go, throw that in there. And I am going to switch spatula for a whisk. And this is 3 tablespoons of unsweetened Dutch cocoa powder. And you just sprinkle it right in there and start stirring. Here's the thing with making brigadeiro. You keep stirring forever. You just stir and stir and stir. And at the beginning, it looks like it's not really gonna fold in, but it will. And it'll come together nicely. All right, as you can see, I've just been stirring for a minute or so here, and all those little clumps are starting to mix in pretty well. You can kind of tap them to break them up a bit. You can do this with a spatula. I don't know. I find that the whisk works best in the beginning to get that kind of well incorporated. Also, I just like whisks. I think they're kind of fun. Makes me feel like a chef. So this is all brigadeiro consists of: stirring. You just keep stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring. You can let it sit just a little bit every now and then and just give it a little swipe. You don't have to stir really fast the whole time. Just when you're incorporating it, you kind of want to do it quickly and move it. But then you want it to cook slowly over, like medium heat usually. And all we're looking for is a good thick consistency where when you pull your spatula or your whisk or your spoon through, that you can see the bottom of the pan. So you get clean lines. I'm not getting anything like clean lines. It's much too liquidy yet. Okay, it's starting to boil. It's getting some good bubbles in it. So I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. It's okay if it bubbles. You want it to cook. You want it to get really nice and thick. So that's okay. But when it starts to bubble, you definitely want to keep moving that whisk or spatula the whole time. Okay, so now that it's sort of started bubbling there, I want to keep moving it pretty consistently because otherwise it will burn, it'll stick to your pan, it'll be a gigantic mess. This is where it's starting to get, do you see how when I pull it through, you're starting to see the bottom of the pan just a little bit? It's almost at the right consistency. So I'm just gonna keep moving it a little bit. Kind of work it off sides of the pan. I'm gonna kind of work it off the sides of the pan so that stuff doesn't get, I think it's a little clumpy if it sits there, but there we go. See how that's taking a minute now that when I scrape that, and it's taken a minute to go back over those lines. That's about the right consistency. Okay, so this is it. We're done. I'm just going to turn that off. And if I were going to do my cheating method, this would be when I would put it into little containers like tasting spoons or little fancy cups. Because that's the easy way to do it. You just dump it right in there and you're done. You can put it in the fridge and not serve it for a couple of days if you have to. But this one I'm gonna do the traditional Brazilian way because I need to teach people the right way, right? So to do that, you need to let this cool in a container, and I've just got a pie plate and a little bit of butter. You have to grease this pretty well while it cools. So we're just gonna swipe that through real quick, and we're gonna pour this in. That's good consistency. Those little lumps, I probably could have stirred it a little bit better to get those lumps out. If I were serving it in a bowl, I would definitely do that. Because I'm rolling these into balls, those little lumps and bumps are not going to be any kind of big deal. So we're just going to put this in here, kind of spread it out, and let it cool maybe 10 minutes or so, just until it's cool enough for you to handle, because right now there's still some steam coming off of this. So I will just scrape that down. So while this is cooling, I did put a little bit in a little container here, and with a little spoon, just to show you how easy it is. I just literally took a spoonful, threw it in the little cup, and those are easy to set out. This is not so easy. I'm always nervous about it, and I don't always do very well, but we'll try. So just a little hint, you can spray your hands with, some oil or something, or you can butter your hands. I think it's fun to butter your hands. So we'll just do that. Rub that in. I have this feeling it's really good for your skin too. Who knows? So I'm just taking 1 teaspoon, and I'm just gonna take it and roll this mess in my hands. And the teaspoon can be bigger or smaller. It doesn't really matter. It's completely up to you. That's just what I chose so that they're sort of consistent. And then you roll them around in your hands, and then you roll them around in this nice little container full of sprinkles. I am not awesome with sprinkles. I actually don't really love sprinkles. My kids do. Liam can't ever go anywhere and get ice cream without sprinkles, but I'll just put that right there. And that's it. That's brigadeiro. So we're just gonna continue to do that. If this gets too cold, well, you just have to work faster. That's what it is. You can put it back in the pan and warm it up just a little bit. I personally don't love to warm it back up because I find that it gets a little glumpy. And sometimes you have to add a little bit of milk to keep it from getting too thick. So, and that's totally doable. Heavy cream works better than milk if you have it. And literally put it in by like the tablespoonful at most. Do it like little by little. So there we go. That is brigadeiro. So now you have learned just how to make brigadeiro, and you can pretend that you are sitting on the beaches of Rio, enjoying these little tasty treats. When you buy these, there's been a new sort of thing in the last, 10 years or so in Brazil, where they're making brigadeiro, but they're making fancy gourmet brigadeiro. And so instead of just chocolate, they may put Nutella in them or passion fruit mousse. I actually really love cayenne pepper in my chocolate. I don't know if I got that from the movie Chocolat or not, but I love to put just a little pinch of that in there. I have been known to put a little lavender essence in it, orange, all sorts of things. Anything you love with chocolate, you can really just add a little bit to this, and you'll have these beautiful little balls of chocolate yumminess. So I hope that you enjoy this and get a little bit messy making some brigadeiro in your own kitchen. I love this because it's still just a little bit warm. It's my favorite way to eat them. Hi. What you doing there, honey?
I'm just making this easier to clean later.
Are you stealing my brigadeiro?
Got plenty over there.
Oh, okay.
They're good stuff. I do suggest it. It's awesome. It is super hard rock though when you're trying to get that off. So heads up for the cleaning.